let's talk about Chennai now. Number 2 on the table is Chennai, and like Ajay just mentioned, they have been a one-man army on most days. But when that one man is MS Dhoni, you don't need an army, because that one man's the general, and he's every soldier. He is Thanos, he is Thala, he is everyone. Look at him in the 20th over. I think his house in Ranchi should be renamed 20th over because he lives in the 20th over. He loves to live in the 20th over. He has played the most number of balls in this tournament in the 20th over by far. Look at it, and the numbers speak for themselves. This is incredible. How can a guy like the end? You know something? Actually, I have to tell you, this was me in school. Not on the cricket field. Wait, before you go crazy. This was me in everything else. Project has to be submitted, homework has to be done, you have to study for an exam. I could only study when it was the previous night of the exam. Before that, I would pretend, I would open my books, I would refuse singles, or maybe I would just pack the book here and there for a single, a slow one. But I would only get it all done in the last stretch. And that's MS Dhoni.
So that's your skill. That's why you love live television and not recorded filming.
I can't do it, man. I get so bored.
So everybody has some skill, and if it's used in the right way,
it's not live,
you get the best out of it.
Yeah.
But also interestingly, there've been lots of stuff on the internet about, how Dhoni is completely, turns conventional wisdom on its head.
Yeah.
So what he'd be really angry with? All the other captains will look and say, you didn't stop that ball, you didn't dive. And Dhoni would say, you dived? How dare you dive? See what happened together.
Yeah.
Exactly. You dived. Why did you dive? So when it completely turns everything on its head, when every other captain is saying, dive, stop the ball. He said, don't dive. Your bodies are too weak. Don't try.
Is optimization of resources.
Absolutely.
Like, I'd rather have you fit and hit the runs rather than dive and try to save one perhaps.
Yeah. And why one? Yeah, I will score 20 in the last over. Na, chal, 22 kar lunga is well.
But what is, it feels silly to ask that question about the secret of CSK's success because so much of it is Dhoni, right? Without really taking away from other players. This is in no way meant to be disrespectful of the other players. It's just that how he is as a leader and as a reader, right? He's just amazing. And you saw it when he didn't play the 2 matches. Again, no disrespect to Suresh Raina as a captain or to the players. There's just some superhuman control over proceedings that he has. Can we just say that now, put it out there and accept it as gospel truth?
No, absolutely. I think he's 2 things. One is the culture that he brings to the team. The secondly, as I said, again, division of labor. So, Simon was talking yesterday about what they're doing with Santner. Yeah. They're preparing Santner to become this kamikaze opener because they know Water will not be there next year.
Yeah.
So Santner will bowl, which works very well for them because he bowls spin, and also whack it up at the top. And they're getting him ready from now on. So what's happening? All the pre-prep work the Fleming is doing. All the non-live stuff Fleming is doing.
Yeah.
Like you,
so interesting.
Dhoni does the live stuff. So the running of the team currently what needs to be done is being done by Dhoni.
Yeah.
Fleming does everything that needs to be done to prepare the team to go live.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how they do it.
That is so amazing.
They break it up like that.
Remember we talked about one day how cricket teams work. There's a CEO working and a joint family working. Here's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Because if the people who are in that side know this is where I'm going to be, then you prepare for future. The results are not just looking at today's numbers, tomorrow's number. You're not justifying. You're doing what is to be done, and you're building the next team.
Yeah.
Others are looking for result. These result will happen. Like Dada said earlier, process is what you have to work on.
Yeah.
And their process. So starting with that Dhoni thing, what is Dhoni? So even Stephen Fleming came year 1.
Yeah.
Has stayed on. You don't see them sacking people, one because they haven't lost. So, it is easy for me to also put it out there and show it like that. But even with their players, they've just kept building players and using also players. So they are the master at, I think they're the master of this franchise game. And maybe they understand it much better because they ran a cricket team for 30 years before IPL came around.
Yeah.
Every other franchisee had never been part of a cricket team. They didn't know what cricket culture was. How does a player think? How does a big player think? How does a small player think? So they probably understand the language of cricket that I talk about much better than all the other franchises.
Yeah.
So they've been a little ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
I think, but people are catching up.
No, people, you're so right, because we've known that for years. Like, in terms of ownership, involvement, it stops at the dressing room door.
No,
right? You don't go into team meetings. You don't go into dressing room. That's sanctity for the people who play cricket.
Just
right?
one more thing I'll just add there. what is the difference? You can find 1,000 CEOs, you can find 1,000 marketing guys, you can find 1,000 every other thing, but you can't find a player. A cricketer, a player is a commodity that you cannot create. Unfortunately, in this, because you have to go through the auction also.
Yeah.
So they understand the value of a cricketer and try and make everything around them.
Yeah.
Whereas the most franchises for a few years have tried to make everything and then find that cricketer that suits their organization.
That's such a good point. And I would really add to that and say not just realizing that the cricketer is everything, but the cricketer and the team. And when the cricketers come together and make a team, and there's a culture and a conversation and a way of playing, and where they, small things like where they sit, are they comfortable, their equipment, all those small things.
Simple things, boss. That's exactly what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Very, very simple things. It's very basic, Are they, and these are things that every franchise does well. But, where do you start looking after a team? When you make sure that there are dry towels there immediately after for training.
Yeah.
There, small things like that. How you construct your dressing room. How early do you bring your players? Let me tell you one thing. Players' wives, okay? It's a big thing for a player. Now, people say that wives are a distraction. It's the reverse. 90% of players, if their wives or girlfriends are not around, are likely to be looking for more excitement in other places.
So you're right, actually.
That's a fact of life.
It's a fact.
I won't know.
It's a fact.
So now what does Chennai do? Chennai, before anyone else, had a clear policy about wives and girlfriends saying, okay, they will come there. They've paid fares for them to come also. We'll look after them because, I've bought into 50% of the player's time.
Yeah.
The player is calm. His wife or partner is happy being here. Kids are there. They're happy being here. It's a family atmosphere. The player is also, not feeling stressed. If he's stressed at night with a bad match, he's going to go back to somebody to talk to, get it out of. That's something they sorted out much before anyone else.
That is quite amazing. And if you see, even if you see Chennai social media, how much of it is about the kids? The little girls, Bhaju's daughter, Suresh's daughter, MS's daughter. They just, and you can see them all playing. They're just like, it's like a happy family. It almost seems like a playground.
You will see them in reunions 20 years later.
Yeah.
I promise you that, because they've built that relationship. That's what it's all about.
Such a good point.
So that's what they do well.
How many players will you see in team reunions 20 years later? Wow, you will see them. So essentially what we're trying to say is that for team owners, you have to realize, and team management, you have to realize there's a difference between running a business and running a team. So run the business.
The business is
and
cricket.
That's the business. Yeah. There is a business and there is a team, right? Yeah. There is an entire business around the team. Let the team be run by whoever the cricket person is, whether it's MS Dhoni or your coach or captain. The business around, you have business people to run.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. I've not run businesses, but I'm just presuming, and tell me if I'm right. If you run a business of software, a company, maybe the canteen or the place that we see now, because Google and all have this kind of a space. You need that kind of a space. If you run a business of manufacturing nuts and bolts, I'm sure you cannot have that same culture. Similarly, if you have artists that you're working with, you'll have to have a different role. I think the good way to look at it is how many people have created a creative company where artists are used. When you work with artists, you cannot have rules for them. You can have rules in a software company, you can have rules in administrative companies or things like that. So these guys that you're dealing with, the people that you're doing business, are artists. And if they're not artists, they are of no use to you.
I think what they do very well is what we call walled garden.
Yeah.
So think of your cricket guys, Dhoni, his team, the coaching, as as your product team.
Yeah.
They make the product. And they have no connection with the people who go and sell that product.
You both have exactly said what I said in one line.
Correct.
But because I have a pretty face, no one listens, no one takes me seriously.
Yaar.
This is the problem.